that.
Podcast before the podcast was excellent. So welcome. This is episode 4 of the Mint Republic. I am Johnny Virgo. This is Daisy Jess, and we have a brilliant guest today. We have Nikki. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm the anti-racist mum. I'm Nikki.
That's exciting.
The anti-racist mum. As the anti-racist mum, what do you do, and why do you do it, and how did you begin doing it?
So I'm the anti-racist mum. I teach white people how to be less racist, because we don't realise how racist we are until we go on a journey and can then see the layers of like patriarchy, capitalism, white supremacy, what I like to refer to as the axes of evil, and how they interlock to keep us under control, keep us white people maintaining the system of white supremacy through our silence, our inaction, our complicity in this mechanism of harm, basically, to anyone that is from a global majority background because of this hierarchy of humans. I've been a youth worker for nearly 30 years. I set up the UK Youth Parliament.
Yeah, I wanted to give a round of applause.
Started my journey with youth work in setting up the UK Youth Parliament and fighting as a teenager for the creation of the UK Youth Parliament, which took from 1997 to 2001. I was running around this country trying to gather the evidence.
They're doing really well at the minute. There's a particular youth from the Youth Parliament. She's got really big dark hair. I don't remember her name, but she went viral and everyone was like going at her for the way that she looked. And she was like, my appearance doesn't matter. It's the politics. And I was like, fuck yeah.
And that is what we always taught. Like, you know, attack the issue, not the person. Yeah. And I see so many people in my comment section on whatever social media platform that could have really done with a youth worker to teach them attack the issue, not the person. Yeah. They don't hear what's being said. They get caught up in the appearance. So that's how I got into it. And I'd thought I was inclusive. Then my daughter started getting racially abused. And I had a conversation with...
Sorry, I'm going to ask you a question. Your daughter, I'm making loads of assumptions and they're probably wrong. Your daughter, you're a white woman.
Yeah, so my daughter has a Caribbean father. So she's mixed heritage. But I live in a predominantly white part of the UK. Mm-hmm. So I had... like my daughter when I lived in London and then ended up living in the further south, and I thought I was friends with inclusive people. Like one of the people that I was hanging around with and that my daughter grew up calling auntie was the operations manager of a community arts charity. But then when the children of some of these women started racially abusing my daughter, they all ganged up together to make it that I was a problem for calling out the racial abuse to my daughter, that I was traumatizing my daughter by drawing attention to the color of her skin and that I was being unreasonable. So I spoke to, there's a rapper called Amy True that a little while ago. Like,
they're basically gaslighting you.
Yeah.
There's no other technical term for it. They were gaslighting.
Yeah. So I called Amy True and I said to Amy True, like, what do I do? What have I blown up my life for no reason? Like, what do I do? Like, you're a mixed heritage woman. Like, I need to do what's best by my daughter, like nothing else. And she went, look, Nikki, you're a white woman and you're crying. Like, go and research white women's tears and how white women have done so little for feminism. You say you've been inclusive. You've been a youth worker for nearly 30 years. What are you actually going to do about it? Like, don't come crying to me. Call me up when you tell me what you're going to do about this.
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. This struggle, these struggles are a conflict of personal and political like situations, and it's repeated.
And I needed her to say that. So then she WhatsApped me and she said, you know, go check out, like, I'd already read Akala's Natives, and I'd already, you know, because I'd been a youth worker, you know, I needed to be aware of inclusion anyway. But I'd had lots of bosses over the years that had told me that because I'm a white woman, wasn't my place to get involved with anti-racism, and that it needed to be global majority people to that tackle that problem. And actually then I started doing this research and reading like White Fragility and Nice Racism and watching Jane Elliott lectures, and I was like, actually, you know what? We shouldn't be expecting global majority people to do this. We're the perpetrators of harm. It's like asking a child that's been abused to teach her abuser how to stop abusing her when we ask global majority people to eliminate racism. It's got to be us. So I went back to Amy.
It's saying nothing is complicit.
Yeah, but the sad point is, like, a lot of global majority people probably have a diagnosis that was never listened to for many years. It's like, okay, well, we'd love to tell you, who's going to listen?
Yeah.
But like, so I salute what you're doing, and like, I interrupted, but like, I salute what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back to Amy and saying, I know what I need to do. It's got to be white. You know, white women have got to make their change. We prop up patriarchy, we prop up white supremacy, and we prop up capitalism in our complicity, and whether we like it or not, like that's the role that we play in society. And we have, you know, we birth these people that go on to be psychopathic leaders. Look at the state of the world right now. All of the psychopaths running the world had a white mother. Like, it has to be us that make the change. And so that's how Anti-Racist Mums was born, as a movement. Really.
I don't think of myself as a white person. I know I am what you look at me and I'm a white person, but I don't see myself as a white person.
What do you see yourself as?
Definitely not white.
That is white exceptionalism. That is like, from the moment we're pushed out of the vagina or through a C-section, arrive into the world, we are conditioned to see ourselves as whiteness as a construct, like as neutral or as superior in certain situations. So that is why we have this sense of like neutrality and like, oh, I don't see. I spent a lot of years like not thinking of myself as white. I was actually meeting First Nations people in the colony of so-called Australia the first time I went there, that I learned about my privilege as a white person, because I don't see myself. I've done youth work, I've been inclusive, I've run the London region of the UK Youth Parliament, you know, I've done all this work. And like Aboriginal elders were like, yeah, but you still like, you don't identify as white. That's part of the problem. Like, you need to know that you are not separate. And that is this exceptionalism that, you know, not every, but pretty much all the white people that I encounter are always like, yeah, I know someone that could really benefit with your training. But because of the exceptionalism, they don't see themselves as needing that training. But there's, you know, they sit in that, oh, I'm a good white person zone, but they're not actually.
So it sounds like you've been on a real journey through youth work and into advocacy like this, and it's intersecting with your personal life. So what sort of tools and methods and, you know, strategies are you using to say, okay, this is how I teach white people not to be racist?
Well, I actually have a range of like packages that people can access. So I have on my website, I have some like self-study resources. I have a game for families that is called Stereotype Bingo, to spot how we are being programmed by the media, whether that is TV, news, films, whatever. Like we're being programmed.
I've done that with my dad. You know, like when you're driving down the road and you go, oh, he was a funny guy. You're like just me and my dad in the car just driving around. So I get where you've got come with the aspect of making that as a game with your family. Spot the programming. And then I've got Making Uncomfortable Conversations Comfortable, which is a role play pack for children and young people to practice becoming allies and advocating for their global majority friends in the safety and comfort of their home. So there's like that, there's a activity that, or a role play card that's like, oh, somebody says, oh, that name's too hard to pronounce, and then the young person can say, but that's, you know, like that's their name, learn their name, respect their name. And there's other scenarios. I think there's 8 different scenarios in that pack. My last name's Iraqi, and when I was at school they used to call me Iraqi. I used to get that Allah Akbar as well, but I'm not anywhere that.
It's a marker of difference, isn't it? And they just chose to attack it because that was their way of reasserting who they were. Or just, you know, it's scary, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? People... They're
not people I'd affiliate with these days, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, they exist.
And they're like, are they raising their children to have those same biases? I actually, over the festive period, I made a book that's now available on Amazon. It's called The White Noise Decoder. It's for people that want to spot how, like, white people that want to like see through the whiteness conditioning, and it's a workbook. It's got activities to help us as white people reflect on how we're programmed and where the programming came in and how we can reframe those thoughts and what would happen, asking, you know, to internalize, like, if you reframed that thought, how would your worldview change? So I have a package for schools. Let's go to that. Let's see if I
was just about to ask you, what age do you think this work should start? Because
from birth.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was definitely from birth.
I agree.
From birth.
I agree, but like, obviously my eldest was 4 in 2020. So that was like seeing the levels of people projecting their fragility onto their children and saying they're too young to even comprehend these ideas. And it's like, well, all we're saying is this is the reality of the world. You're acting in certain ways. The world acts in certain ways, and you've got to maybe unlearn some of your conditioning. And the responses were just so, it blew up in the parents' WhatsApp group. And I guess...
Oh no, not the parents' WhatsApp group.
Yeah, WhatsApp groups. And because things can be misconstrued, can't they? And tone.
Misinterpreted, yeah.
That's why, particularly written text on, like, I tend to do voice notes these days on things because of the content is quite often what I'm sending people is quite challenging, and so I will tend to voice note people more. I've become more confident since like January last year. I've started being much more about voice notes because I got fed up with things being misconstrued and people reading the tone of my written message as a different tone to that which I'd implied it. Rude, but yeah, I think you know, you should be, as a parent, you know, like, as a parent, you should be introducing like different cultures, music, different cultures, TV shows, you know. And one of the things that I always recommend families of primary age children to do, if you have my complexion, is to watch the show. I don't know if hopefully it's still on Netflix because it's called Family Reunion. And
the American one, in
part
Georgia or Atlanta,
part 1, episode 10. So you need to watch all of part 1, that last episode of part 1, and then you need to discuss it as a family. You need to discuss that episode and what would you do if they were your children in that episode, because... Can
you send me the episode? I'm going to do this.
You know what? My kids have watched that one, so they're ahead of me on this work. They've done this work. I haven't done it.
Yeah, have a chat with your children about part 1, episode 10.
My kids aren't going to give me much information at this point, but I will at some later date. Yeah.
And do it with your parents as well, and like, because it is a really emotive episode, and it does really, but you kind of need to buy into the characters. So I'd say watch all of the series, because then when you've got empathy for the characters as human beings, because this country, we dehumanize people too frequently, and that's why, you know, the media gets away with regularly dehumanizing refugees and asylum seekers as illegals, but there's no such thing as an illegal human on Mother Earth. Like, this is, you know, it's a fallacy. Borders were created by colonialism and to maintain capitalism, to extract and exploit humanity. There's no need for them. They're a mechanism of... I'm anti-capitalist.
Can I just ask a question? Opinions on Shamima, the gum? Because I was listening to the radio the other day and they were talking about her, and I was like, well, if it's current news, then may as well drop it in here. I think it's disgusting what the UK have done.
I do think it's disgusting. I also think that it's going to be weaponised. If she wins her European Court of Human Rights trial, though, to regain her British...
There's going to be riots.
I think it just opens the door for Deformed to get in, the cult of Deformed to get in, because the brain-rotten racists are not going to be able to comprehend that she's a British citizen.
I would like to see how many British men who've converted, who've gone over there and come back. I'd like to see like a list of... Because obviously, some of them...
What they call the British Beatles, were they one of them? Were they converts who went over?
And then to fight, and then they come back. If they can come back, then I don't understand why she can't.
Well, why don't we do it with the IDF? If you've been to fight in the IDF, surely you should lose your British citizenship.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's loads of them.
I think there's no question about it at this point.
There's hundreds of them, and they're here. They're here. They've gone. They've come back. They're brutalising our communities. They're typically cis hetero white males.
And ICE are the same people? Huh? The IDF and ICE, are they? They
are. Yeah.
They're the same people, right?
Yeah.
Are they the same contracted killers? This is what I'm saying. Is it the same group?
Well, and also the Proud Boys. You know, I was reading that, you know, the Proud Boys have disappeared. They've been submerged into ICE.
I asked an American friend of mine the other day about the Proud Boys, and then she suddenly blocked me and stopped talking to me.
Yeah, they've been absorbed by ICE. So they're just criminal gangs. And the thing is, the biggest criminal gang in this country, we pay for out of our council tax, don't we? You know, the police, whether you like it or not, like, they are the biggest criminal gang. The biggest traffickers of drugs are our government. We wouldn't have, you know, the war on drugs is utter nonsense. It's, you know, again, it's another mechanism of control of population.
I was talking to Mr. Picky Pocket. London Picky Pocket. And I was talking to him about he's He sent me a voice note, and he might be getting in trouble for spraying the red paint on the people. And he's like, I went into the police station. The police were talking to me. They were really horrible and around. And I was like, I don't think you realise that the police are involved with those pickpockets. It's all human smuggling. It's all under the same branch of things. And I was like, I sort of sent him a message, and I was like, let me know if you go to prison. If you don't, come on the show.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Like the stigmatization of people who've committed crimes, and like the racialization of crime on camera is a very interesting thing. Obviously, there's that whole discourse at the minute that's saying, why is it we never hear white man commits crime? It's always migrant does X. Or...
It's always worded.
That's because of white supremacy, though, isn't it? Like, exactly. Like, that's the thing. Because whiteness is normal. Whiteness is the neutral, is what's expected.
I hear you when you're saying that your work, but I like, how does it work? How do you suggest somebody goes through, if I were to play this game of stereotypes bingo with someone, or this game were to be played around a table, like, have you seen it work? Because from our discussions off camera, it sounds as if to say you're in an area where there are people who really are in need of this work to happen. My cynical, raised in the 1980s self says, there's no hope, man. Like, it's the Oprah solution. There's just some people with beliefs, and when they die, then the percentage will go down.
But we're not seeing it, doesn't, does it? Yeah, it doesn't, does it? That's the thing.
Can't just wait for people to die.
Well, this was what Oprah Winfrey got in trouble for saying. And like, if someone who's existed from the 1950s to 60s to 70s to 80s has seen a general diminution in racism, then their belief is going to be that. But since then, since the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, then suddenly we're in this upswing, and it's like, oh, well, actually, there's but this is manufactured production mechanism.
This is manufactured, intentional racial tensions, driven by the rot at the top, the greedy, wealth-hoarding parasites that are extracting and exploiting, because we are in the end of capitalism, and because they want to maximise what they can accumulate in their bank balances. And this has been ongoing from this seed for this, what we are experiencing now with these brain rotten racists running around our communities suffering from athlete's foot of the brain, has been started.
I'm going to interrupt
athlete's foot of the brain.
It's a wonderful turn of phrase, but you're the person that's trying to heal. At the same time as using that turn of phrase, are you able to?
There's a spectrum, isn't there? There's a spectrum of racism. So there's the white supremacists at one side that are in like the red zone, that are so KKK and so far radicalised.
I've seen them.
And then there's the good, in the amber zone is the good white person that I'm not racist, but white person that thinks that they're not, but needs to do more work. And then there's the green zone, which is like the person like me that's proactive in unlearning our racialized conditioning, that is doing the work on a regular basis, and to deprogram myself, to catch myself when I'm having a conditioned thought. So I'll give you an example. So if I catch a bus, I caught a bus today in the rain to get here. So if I catch a bus now as an adult, I don't need to hug my bag when a young black man gets on the bus. But 20 years ago, traveling around London by bus, my programming would have made me it's a natural reaction. Because of my programming, I would have, seen a group of young black men get on the bus, and I would have moved my bag onto my lap or whatever. But now that I work on a daily basis to deprogram myself, I don't find myself doing it. And now I tend to just chat to every person, and people think I'm a right weirdo on the bus because I chat to everyone, or I dance if there's no seats. I'm there listening to music and I'm dancing. But it's that being aware of, how am I thinking? How is my body reacting? And, doing, initially, like, when I felt because we experience discomfort, okay, and it's labelled as white fragility, and there's people from global majority backgrounds that I've spoke to that have said, we even have to coddle white people by calling their reaction white fragility, like it's constantly coddling white people. But there is this innate discomfort for white fronting people, white presenting people with dealing with and talking about race and racism. And that is so regulating our nervous systems is the first thing we have to learn, to have these conversations and to sit with that discomfort and to accept that if we're going to grow as people, like when, you know, like when you're trying to do like fitness training, you wouldn't go to the gym and not expect to experience any discomfort. You're not going to expect to be deprogramming yourself, unlearning your conditioning, and not experiencing emotional discomfort to take you to that place of being able to then articulate your feelings without getting angry, without denying, dismissing, deflecting, or going, what about the Arab slave trade, or like all this, the Mongolian Empire, like you get all this nonsense. But it's like we're, you know, like empire just rebranded, we're still living under the legacy of colonialism. So I'm not going to enter those discussions now. And I spent at the beginning, I would have these backwards and forwards conversations with the Athlete's Foot Brigade. And the reason I refer to it as Athlete's Foot of the brain is because Athlete's Foot is a fungal infection, right? Most people get it on their feet, right? And it's perfectly treatable. And it's the same as racialized conditioning. If you are a brain rotten racist, you are suffering from Athlete's Foot of the brain. It is perfectly recoverable condition, but you have to do the work to unlearn your conditioning. And if you are choosing, once I've told you you're a brain rotten racist, if you are choosing to remain a brain rotten racist, don't get upset that I'm referring to you as a brain rotten racist, because you have a smartphone. You have access to the facilities to deprogram yourself, but you are choosing to remain in that state. And that is often too much of what people with my complexion do, isn't it? You say, this is somebody's experienced racism. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, you're calling me a racist. How dare you call me a racist? Why don't you just stop behaving like a racist?
People are more concerned with being called a racist than they are actually being a fucking racist.
And the harm that racism causes. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. So you're saying it's a journey. You're saying it's a deprogramming process that takes off your own conditioning. So then, can somebody get the badge at the end of it? If you know what I mean? Can someone get the certificate?
Because it's not there's no destination.
It's
an ongoing journey. That's the thing. And you can so I would have said that I was I came back from the colony of so-called Australia, and I would have said in 2008, I think I came back from Australia. Yeah. I would have said I was anti-racist. And then obviously life happens and I've had all these different jobs, and then I would probably move to the good white person zone, in that I had these jobs where people told me, managers told me, well, shut up, Nikki, it's not your place and don't get too involved. And I needed an easy life, and I'm a single mum at that point and don't want to rock the boat and all of these things.
This whole don't want to rock the boat mentality is actually killing me off, because talking to my mum about everything that's going on, and obviously she moved over here during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. It's like, why won't you say something? Why would she just step back? Just don't
That's a very
don't put your neck on the line,
because it's a patriarchal conditioning that we as women suffer from, not wanting to rock the boat because of sticking our head above the parapet. And white women have been, and that's how we maintain patriarchy, white supremacy. That's our role as white women, is to not rock the boat, is to be good little compliant drones to keep the status quo. And
I'm my father's daughter. They've got no chance. Good luck. Good luck with that. Yeah.
So why is that? Why they got no chance?
Oh, my opinion. I told you earlier on, I'm the daughter of, the British Army. And I'm very upset with what the people who control the British Army have been doing for, I don't even know,
productive colonialism, really, aren't you?
I don't know how fucking long. I'm sorry, but half my family in Fiji live in a metal shack. Mm-hmm. When's the trickle-down effect happening? Let me know.
How do they feel about the British Army? Have you ever had a chance to speak to
them?
Leave
them alone.
I'm not. Because my father was in the British Army as well. Came over from the West Indies to join the British Army. He told me he'd disown me if I shouldn't say it on camera.
No,
he said this. He said he advised me strongly not to join the army when I was younger. And it wasn't really a choice because I'm too much of a pussy to go in the army.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
Do you know what I mean? I like the running, but I don't want to shoot at people or be shot. That's not those aren't my preferred activities. But obviously there's that dual relationship with the center of of colonialism, isn't there? Like there's that relationship of like, okay, this is this is what we were supposed to aspire to 100 years ago.
Yeah,
do you see what I mean? So that's why I'm interested how
the Fijian people, from my opinion, they love the involvement from the British and etc. We had Queenie on the dollar. We don't. I think we have King now, but
he's still on the currency in Fiji.
Yeah, they have a dollar, but it's got the British royal family on it. Yeah, and I think when it comes to like land and other countries that get involved with Fiji, I think they prefer the British to be involved more than the Chinese and the Russians. I think there's a lot of land grabbing done by the Chinese over there for fishing, etc. It's not very good. It's pretty horrible. But I don't think anybody should be getting involved. I think you should leave them all the fuck alone. And I think you should stop burning stuff, because otherwise they're all going to be underwater in 100 years' time.
I think it's less than that now, isn't it?
Thanks.
Yeah. No, because I was talking to some Polynesian people whose land is they're watching their islands beat.
Yeah, I mentioned that someone's created a website for their island, so that whenever their island's underwater, there's a website that's sort of just like, memorialized them through the website. Yeah.
So I'm laughing because I'm Polynesian too. You can ask my wife.
Lies. It's lies.
Sorry, no, it's an in-joke. Like I told my wife a white lie when we first met and involved my nationality. It wasn't Polynesian in the end. I misremembered. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. We're going to edit that. It's fine.
Cool. I told him, I was like, I don't blame you for saying I think you're Polynesian. We're quite good looking anyway. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. You're in London today because I know you've got a radio show. What's the radio show?
Yeah, tell me all about it.
For the last year, just over a year, I've been doing a show called The Uncomfortable Conversations Show, which is all about those conversations that we as white people don't want to have. It's aimed at white female professionals and parents. I disclaim at the start of the show, that you're going to find it uncomfortable, and tackle all sorts of things. So I did a show on Ramadan and Islamophobia with a Muslim DJ called DJ Lukic, about like the benefits of Islam in this country. And like one of the things that I learnt doing that show was that the charity sector in this country would fold without Ramadan, because Muslims give the most to charity.
They literally
and
do.
It's like the brain rotten racist again. Like they with their willful ignorance, they want to moan about Muslims, but they're coming to invade this country. But we're the people that have done all the invading, but they're the ones that are like literally propping up our charity sector with I think it's over £2 billion of revenue goes into the charity sector because of Ramadan, and like it's like no other demographic put that much money into charity.
Yeah.
I did a show on January last year. I did a show on Bitcoin as an alternative currency, and I had a guest, Nat from 2140 Music, which is about supporting artists to build alternative income streams, alternative revenue streams. I did one on Invasion Day in the colony of so-called Australia, and because so many British people still go as on working holidays visas, but they go and they exist in this state of like westernized understanding of of that colony, rather than understanding that sovereignty was never ceded. It is and always will be Aboriginal land, and that there is an ongoing genocide of Aboriginal people still. The Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are the most incarcerated people on the planet, and they are still being incarcerated, actually record numbers, and their children. They said sorry in I think it was 2007 or 2008 for the stolen generations, where they were, as part of the White Australia policy, they would forcibly remove children from Aboriginal communities and put them into foster care or missions. But that is, whilst they said sorry for that, there are more children being taken away today. Still,
That's still going on.
It's still ongoing.
I didn't realise
it is an ongoing thing. So when I talk about accountability, I use the sorry day that Australia has every year. They have a sorry day for the stolen generations, but they still do it. They're still ongoing. So it's not accountability. Sorry is a meaningless word if actions don't change.
100%.
And so when I am explaining to people in my complexion that there's a difference between hot air, saying the word sorry, and accountability, actually doing the work, that is one of my examples, because they're not sorry. They haven't changed their behaviour. They're still stealing land.
Yeah.
But we're in an age where people are almost scared to say sorry. You know what I mean? There's just so many who are like, we're still in that phase of denial.
If you're in a car crash, don't admit you're sorry.
We're talking about in terms of racial injustice. There's people, like, obviously Discourse, my other podcast is about Black history, and it's particularly focused on the City of London. So it's talking about, a lot of it is going to lead into ideas of reparations. And the discourse around slavery is such that people just will never, some people, they'll acknowledge that Britain stopped it. They'll acknowledge that it ceased, at some point between 1807 and 1830, whatever. And they'll say that the British Navy lost so many people trying to stop it around the world. But there hasn't been that official apology, and there's not the things that flow from it, except from certain specific institutions that have chosen to do it. So it's like, sorry is a meaningless word. But like, even sorry would be better than what we're receiving. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're talking about children being taken away. The Danes are at it with the Inuits, aren't they? And
it's what we see around the world. And the more I learn about First Nations people, I talk to different First Nations women particularly, and I have a real issue with manualised religions, and there's two reasons I refer to them as manualised religions. One is because males wrote them and removed women's voices, and the other is because they are literally manuals of how you should live your life, or how, like, that man thinks you should live your life. And so there's I think that the reason why they try to eliminate First Nations peoples is because if we took all of the creation stories from all of the First Nations peoples and mapped where there is crossover, then there would be some semblance of truth of the reality of creation, and it would not align with the Abrahamic religions that are manualised religions. All of them have removed women's voices to enable population control. And if you look at other...
it's so scary in the big grand scheme of things. It's so scary, isn't it? Oh, yeah. So
I think, so for me personally, I did a show last year in October about how dreaming of when capitalism, patriarchy and white supremacy crash out, because they are, and how we rebuild society, what structures we should have, because we never talk about what happens after capitalism as a society. People are so stuck that capitalism is the only economic model, but it's not, because obviously pre-capitalism there were other thousands of years of other economic models, and those models were matriarchal communities. Okay, they were womb and moon led, all pre-patriarchy.
All our calendars have been fucked with this.
We should have 13 months, 28 days, womb led, womb and moon led. And
it's so weird talking to you, because I feel like you're like the older version of me. Like when you were like, I'm on buses and I dance, I'm like, I was doing that when I was like 10 years ago. I was like, this woman is me in like 20 years.
I do it on trains as well, and people get really like, they look like, why are you stood up?
I do it in my car.
Yeah, so do I. I do it, like, I now have a standing desk so that while I'm working I can dance and dance and work, because I like to move.
The joys of neurodiversity.
Yes, it is, and I actually work better when standing, listening to really loud music, and I can type really fast. And people, like, I'm sure people, if they ever came to my house to watch me work, would be like, "You're not getting any work done at all. You're dancing away, but you're typing." Yeah, I can type and dance and sing at the same time.
I reckon it's well fun when you're at work.
Yeah. But I can't remember where we was going before.
Sorry, I do that.
No, do you work better like at home alone, or do you work better in other places then? Like, or do you like to have your particular space where you can do those things?
I'm very energy sensitive. Okay, so I was working for a charity at one point, and it was such a toxic environment to work in that I would walk through the door and I would have shooting. I suffer from chronic pain anyway, since having my daughter having an emergency C-section, but the chronic pain would get so bad that like down my glutes and all the way to like the back of my knees I'd get shooting pain, and all my lower back would spasm. So I ended up having to ask for like reasonable adjustments to work from home when working for that charity. And I found, like I'm much more productive in my own space. And also I'm a chatterbox. Okay. So if I go to an office to work, even in my
distracted
current job, my day, I won't achieve, like I might achieve 4 things off my to-do list. Whereas my home work setup, I can achieve like 20 or 30 things off my to-do list by getting in the zone. And bearing in mind, when I'm working from home, I'm also home educating my daughter. So, but my productivity, people, like I've worked places where I worked one place where I was 21 hours a week, and I had colleagues that were 5 days a week, and it got to the point where on a Wednesday my manager would say to me, look, you're gonna need to stop working now at 1 o'clock and not finish the day. And I'd be like, why? Because you've done more work in your 2.5 days than your colleagues who are 5 days a week have done, and you're putting them to shame because you're too productive. And they get really annoyed that I judge, like this was the manager saying that I judge them by your standards. And I'm like, it's my ADHD, I can't cope, I can't help it. Like I have 30,
I need to do the job, I need to just get it done. I need to get it done, and I have like 20 tabs open, and I might not stay on one tab for very long. I might write 2 words on one tab and then think of something that needs to go on the other tab, and be backwards and forwards all day like that. And it might look really chaotic to anyone observing, sense to me.
but I get stuff done, and I can't. And that's so there was that job was, it would make me laugh actually. It'd be like, yes, please stop working, please go home, you've done too much, like I don't want that other staff to feel under pressure that they need to keep up with you. And I'd be like, all right, then I'm just doing my job.
So the benefits of, is that like this hyper focus as a superpower basically?
So, like, I can't tell you that my life's been easy through having ADHD. Like, obviously, I've been misunderstood, like, I would say most of my life. But once I accepted that I was ADHD, autistic, neurodivergent, once I accepted that, and then because I accepted that whilst I was trying to lose weight, and I started eating for a high protein breakfast, that's what changed my life actually. Because I never used to eat breakfast, and
I need to. I just got in my head is fasting, breakfast. I'm just not going to have breakfast anymore. It's fine. That's how I've got it mentally in my head. Yeah.
Once I started eating for my brain basically, so now I'm really productive in the morning because I have a high protein breakfast, and I function so much better.
Have?
I have overnight oats. My daughter makes it for me.
I've been making like chia seeds, like
I have. So I have chia seeds, flax seeds. I have a 1/4 cup of rolled oats.
The anti-racist cookery book.
Greek yogurt. And milk, and mix it all up.
Is your back all right? And it's not comfortable. I had to do it last time.
Perfect. This is good for me. It's good for my posture. What are you talking about? Let's stay focused, man. Let's stay on this topic. Go. I'm fine.
What do you have? Fresh fruit on top of it?
It depends what I've got in the house, but that's like my basic base, I suppose. Sometimes, and it depends, it depends what my daughter's, because part of my daughter's home educating is that she bakes. That's her thing that she or cooks or whatever likes to do. So pretty much every day there's cake in the house, and she got an ice cream maker for Christmas, so she was making like sorbets, like raspberry sorbets and lemon sorbets and things.
Is that like the ninja one, or is it just like
it's a more basic version of that? But it was from her nan. But she's really enjoying that, and she made honestly, this cake, it was huge. It only lasted 2 days, right? But it was a huge double layer coffee and caramel cake with like coffee, buttercream in the middle, homemade caramel in the middle, and then all over the top. And honestly, it made it New Year's Eve, and 2 days later it was gone. And I was like, oh my god, I gotta go for so many runs now because this cake is just amazing.
She wouldn't get that at school. they wouldn't get that one-to-one time. She wouldn't get that like she's like done something.
Yeah, and what she does is now, like, as part of her home ed, she tracks like how she can improve things. So we have a system that is like works for us, is that she has a spreadsheet and she does self-directed learning. It's her choice what she learns each day. So she just tells me in the morning what her plan is for home educating, and she then logs all the different things that she's doing. So so for English at the moment, she like is analysing the
poetry.
No,
I remember doing that.
Analysing the consumerism embedded within Stranger Things and how it's a vehicle for
my little brain's hurting already
for capitalism. So it's like spotting all the product placement and things. And then so she will, like, if she does that, when she's done that activity, she'll put in her spreadsheet like how many minutes she spent and what she learnt from doing it. She'll make a few notes, and like with the baking and stuff, she'll write like what needs improving, or like whether she needs to adjust the temperature next time, or like, so she made some waffles, and the mixture for the waffles was like hugely, she followed the instructions, but it was hugely over in terms of the quantity that she could produce. So like now when she goes back to that recipe again, that's in her spreadsheet, is that she needs to reduce the quantity of the recipe, and she wants
trial and error. Trial and error. It's literally how you're supposed to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, and she's done all the formulas, so it adds it all up, and it then adds it all up in minutes, and then she's got another box underneath where it divides it by minutes into the number of hours. So she's always on top, and I can say to her any time of day, like, what's your how many hours of home ed have you done this week? What do you still need to do? What are you struggling with? Or like, and at night she can say to me, I say to her, like, tell me what you've enjoyed today about your home education, what's been the highlight. And I always ask her every day, and she gets really annoyed. I'm like, do you want to go back to school? Like, are you feeling lonely? Do you need to be around other young people? Like, what? And she goes, no, I do not want to go back to school. Like, stop asking me that. I'm like, well, I have to ask you because it's my responsibility as your parent to check that you're still happy being home educated. As soon as you don't want to be home educated and you want to more like to be around other young people, she's like, but I don't like them. I don't like being around other young people. Like, but she's had some really negative experiences in a predominantly white area where she's been made to feel, at one point she went to Starbucks with a group of girls who refused to take photos of her because she was the brown young person in Starbucks with them, and they wouldn't take photos of her.
I went on a holiday to Italy. We're a posh schoolgirl, and so I went on a holiday, and I straightened my hair, but I've got I don't know what grade hair I have, but it sticks on fucking end. I have no choice. And they were all straightening each other's hair, and then when it came to straightening my hair, they did like 3 layers on top, and then just sort of left all the rest of it to just stick out front. And I was like, okay, I guess we're not doing my hair. I was like, I'm not going to bother with that anymore, am I? Fuck that. Yeah, the girls at school, very racist, and they don't even mean to. It's just the way that they've been raised.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It is, and that's the problem with too many people, and that's what led me ultimately to be doing this work, is because we don't even acknowledge that we're being conditioned by to maintain racism in society, and that capitalism literally relies on racism to exist. You cannot be anti-racist and pro-capitalism. It isn't possible. It's like you cannot be a Christian and be a racist. You can't be a patriot, actually, and be a racist, because the true essence of being a patriot is that you want what's best for your country.
Not being for the colour of people.
Yes. And so this is why these people, and it is brain rot, but it's programmed brain rot. It's all a choice.
A lot of effort's been put into it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it stems from it stems from Nigel, doesn't it? Garbage
Nigel, Rupert Murdoch, all the...
Well, they've all worked together, haven't they?
They have, but they've been on it.
It's that IDU forum, isn't it? It's the IDU forum. They're the people that are pulling the strings of everything.
So do you find that you've got a closer bond through home educating?
Well, my daughter and I have already had a close bond, but yeah, I would say that we have a close bond. But so once I was an early help worker, and I used to have to go around people's houses and check that they weren't co-sleeping with their children, and to check that they were these are Nazi parenting strategies. So the more that I've gone on my unlearning journey. And I was working for Early Help before I went on my unlearning journey. And I was upholding parenting strategies designed by the Nazis to psychologically torture our children into being compliant citizens and being good soldiers ultimately, and being, good, following the orders of the state. And if you look at the parenting strategies used in this country since the end of the Second World War with white families by places like social services and Early Help, those strategies are intended to disconnect the human from the soul. And so once I started this unlearning journey, I saw a post and I did some reading into Nazi parenting strategies, and I was like, oh my God, I failed at all of the Nazi parenting strategies. Like, I co-slept with my daughter, and you know what? She's 12 and she chooses sometimes to still co-sleep with me. Not because there's anything like weird going on, but because she loves me and I love her and she feels comfortable. And you know what? I'm never...
Like, I want to come and join you. Like, come join me.
Yeah.
I don't care.
She's got her own bed. She's had about 9 beds because we've gone through so many beds, because, she gets bored with a bed, and then she might have a bed for like 3 months and then come creeping back. It starts off every other night and then it ends up being every night. And then she goes, and then about 6 months later, I'm like, oh, you've been sleeping in my bed every day for 6 months. Like, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, I'm bored of my bed. I get her another bed, and then the pattern starts again.
Yeah.
This bed she actually assembled herself, so we've had much more success of her sleeping in it. She actually built this bed herself while I was at a meeting. I'd gone out for a meeting.
Like that as a kid though. Like, I would never sleep in my own bed. It was like making beds on the floor. Yeah, I think that's probably something to do with being on the spectrum as well.
Oh yeah. I think, but we do have a very, I'd say, a very close relationship, but I'm also aware that she's preteen, and I regularly say to her, there will come a point where you hate me. I'm fully aware of that. There's other young people that I know who are not speaking to their parents and have really, that I've watched growing up, and I've been auntie
I've gone
to.
in it and I've come out it,
Yeah, and I had terrible time in my teenage years of getting on with my parents. So, and also I've been a youth worker for nearly 30 years, so I've supported a lot of children, young people and families through this. So I'm fully aware, and we've got a support network of like adults that she can message.
Yeah. I've been told that that's something you should always do.
At the point,
sort of like reliable adults that they can feel comfortable enough to talk to, so they don't feel the stress of having to speak to you directly.
Trusted adults, yeah, they should have a trusted adult to talk to, definitely. So yeah, she's got those people that she can talk to if she wants to and when she wants to. But at the moment she keeps saying to me, no, I'm all right, I'm never gonna hate you. Even the other day I was talking to somebody on the phone who was having trouble with their teenage daughter, and I said to her, see, like, because the person was on speakerphone, I said, see, I'm so worried that's gonna happen to us. And
does she like animals and like flowers and like gardening and being outside?
Yeah, we live in a block, so she goes to my mum's for a lot of that sort of stuff.
I'd recommend, like, in the half-term times. I mean, you might not know, Berkshire College of Agriculture. They do like courses for people that aren't in a full-time education to do stuff like that. My mum wanted me to go and be a florist. My mum wanted me to be a florist. I said, Mum, I've got hay fever. I don't know how you think that's going to work. So if she's not in school and, the opportunity to meet other people her age, and it's like the eccentric side, it's not, so I'd recommend it.
I'll explore that with her. She does and she definitely likes animals. That's one of the reasons we haven't moved out of the area that we live in, is because she doesn't want to leave my mum and dad's cats. She doesn't want to be more than an hour away from the cats. But we can't have pets where I live because of my tenancy agreement is strictly no pets. So
they said I could have a dog. I don't want a dog. Yeah, I'm with housing association. They were like, you can have a dog.
I'm a private tenant in a council block, but my landlord is strictly no pets.
I tried to do privately a couple of times, just didn't work out in the end, didn't it?
It's tricky. I've been where I am for a while, but it's not ideal. It's
I've got a question.
Man with the questions, Get
us back on track.
We're always on track.
Oh, cool.
So what age did you get a diagnosis, or did you get a diagnosis?
Yeah, last year.
Last year?
Yeah, August last
How was
year.
the process for you?
Well, convincing convincing my misogynistic GP that I needed a referral in the first place was quite hard. And then he falsified my medical records and pretended to refer me for the assessment. And then 12 months passed, and I called the provider and said, "Oh, just want to know what's the rough update? You know, my GP said to call you after I'd waited 12 months. So it's 12 months to the day, according to my NHS records. So I'm calling you." And the admin woman was like, "We never received a referral for you."
I think this is quite common. I think what you're telling
Yeah,
me
it
is
is.
very common.
It's called medical negligence, and it's called falsifying medical records. But the
it's
fragile
not this,
people
it's
within
telling people that, oh, we think you've got your ADHD, we'll add you onto the list, and then they never actually do anything. I think that's very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I ended up speaking to the practice manager, who allowed me to then go through right to choose. So then it wasn't actually too long at all. But then once you get the diagnosis, you have to wait for capacity to start the tritation or whatever, if you're doing it on NHS, which is the medication side of things. And that's, again, it's how long's a piece of string. So I haven't received any update from my misogynistic GP surgery about when that will take place or anything like that. And but I'm now doing something called intuitive exercise, which is like, because of my chronic pain, and because I believe that neurodivergent people, the more I've done of my unlearning journey, again, of like decolonizing myself, essentially, is I've come to the understanding that the reason that neurodivergent people are like vilified by society is that we are the people with empathy. We are, like, literally, scientifically, we're 6 times more likely to have empathy for a stranger than a neurotypical person. So this is why we have been vilified for centuries. And it's actually neurodivergent people that would have taken the risks to create change in society, and are the people that feel social injustice. Okay, so this is why we're vilified by societal structures, because we're disrupting that narrative. And I don't want to necessarily be medicated by a pharmaceutical company. When we do the research into pharmaceutical companies, they're the biggest wealth hoarding parasites on the planet, and along with them and the the medical insurance industry, they're basically exploiting and extracting from humanity. And pharmaceutical companies are the reason that we have the war on drugs, and the war on drugs is a racist infrastructure in itself. And all of these things contribute to these axes of evil, which are destroying humanity and Mother Earth. So I would rather find a natural way of managing my pain and managing my neurodivergence, and actually accepting my neurodivergence. And now I don't want a mask. I don't care if you're upset by what I say. I am not the problem. If you experience discomfort at something that I am saying, that is because of your conditioning. Reflect on yourself and button your mouth in criticizing me. And that's the point that I'm at now. So I will go for, like, what I say to my daughter is, again, because of my neurodivergence, I find it really difficult to, like, so I'll say to her, "Oh, I'm going for a walk." And then my brain goes, "But you might run." So I have to go, "But I might run." So it's like, now I'm like, I'm going for my walk / run. But basically intuitive exercise is where you get into a zone where you're hearing your body. And so I go, like, I leave my house and I try and, like, walk and meditate to connect to my body. And then I just listen to my body as to what my body wants me to do. So sometimes I'll be like, I might get to a hill and my body might go, "Give it a go, run up that hill and punch in the air." So when I'm running up the hill and I'm punching in the air, I'm imagining, like, Garbage Nigel's face or Starmer's face or the Tango toddler's face, and I'm running up the hill punching. And I might then, like, be going past someone, and so then, because I'm going past someone and I want to wind them up, and I'm in a reform cult area, so I'll be like, pretend I'm on the phone, I've got my earpods in, and I'll pretend I'm on the phone, be like, yeah, those xenophobic pensioners that voted for Brexit, they really do owe me an apology for ruining this country. And I love to see the reaction on their faces. So that gives me quite enjoyment. I quite enjoy standing in a queue in the supermarket as well and pretending to have a conversation on the phone about brain rot and racists, because I
take my phone number. You don't need to potato.
And misogyny. I did that the other day. I was walking around about the biggest threat to the survival of humanity are these pathetic men, white men, and their egos, their greed, and their emotional constipation. And these men are looking at me in the queue in the supermarket like I'm saying the wrong thing. And I thought, don't you dare. I'm having a private conversation. Like, why are you earwigging? And if you are upset with me telling the truth about the fact that cisgender heterosexual white males who are neurotypical are the root of all evil, that is a you problem, not a me problem. You have enabled this. So yeah, I clear train carriages as well with those conversations. I love it.
But it's weird because what you're
love it.
saying, right,
It's
seems really extreme to other people. But it's like Andrew Tate was saying the fucking opposite, and all the other people were saying all the opposite, and we were like, oh yeah, great entertainment. Okay, well now let's have a go.
Yeah, but it's because I'm a woman.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
It's because I'm a woman.
Yeah, let's have a go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a man send me a.
Also, I'm gonna
judge and jury.
Andrew Tate, what he did was he said objectionable, misogynistic, and racist, and predatory things, and then he said, "But it was satire."
Yeah. Oh.
That was his get out of it. He said, "But it was satire."
It was a joke.
It was that was his defense.
Your face.
He said
Love
that
it.
was a satire. No, I know you don't understand. I know you understand at some level.
No one in this room
He
likes
said-
him. Don't worry.
He said, "But it was satire," and that was what.
That's his get out of jail
That
card,
was
isn't
that
it?
was the past.
Because he's a white passing man, isn't he? Who gets away with everything. I was
think
listening.
British.
I think he's finding out that
Is
he
he
is a
British?
white passing man, but he's finding out that his racialized identity is coming home to be judged by the very people that he seeks approval from.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that because I don't follow any like mainstream news bullshit.
No,
I
but
don't
like
follow
they were
it.
like 3 or 4 years ago, they were the ones on the telly screens shouting all this horrible stuff, and we were like, oh, they're saying these horrible things. But now I'm hoping that we're going to come up here and say all these horrible things.
I was referring on TikTok. I was referring to them as mutated female. Well, any men, so mutated female embryos, and I was doing that for quite a long time. About a year, I was going on TikTok lives and getting it when they would get upset. These little flag shagging fake patriots, fake
What is this,
Christians.
The water's making the frogs gay.
It's fine.
I would say, but yeah,
like,
but
I don't understand why they're offended by that. Like,
because I'm a woman, and I'm how dare I? And I'm like, yeah, but Mother Nature, like we are the people. You wouldn't exist without a woman. I grow. You cannot grow a baby. Like a woman birthed you. Like you are a mutated female embryo. But then I had a boy from Cambridge that was like, you need to check that because actually not all babies start off as female. There, and so then I did do the research and I had to do a video on TikTok and apologise and say actually now I've educated myself and we're I can't remember what embryos start off as, like multi potential organisms or something rather than as female embryos.
You were making the assumption that we all start off as a female.
Yeah, and then mutate.
I thought you were making the assumption of what's that guy who went on the internet and said the water's making the guys the frogs turn gay.
That's Alex Jones.
Yeah, because he's saying that they've put something in the water to
feminize
the men.
There is a problem with infertility in men because of our food.
But apparently there's a chemical they've been putting in the water that feminizes our men.
No, it's the pill. It's because the pill goes into, like in this country, it's in London, it's particularly bad because of the recycled water and they can't get rid of the hormone that goes in that women take, contraceptive pill. That is then it's specific, I think, to places that use recycled water.
But Alex Jones is not a credible news source.
Who's Alex Jones? Is he that weird far right dude in America?
He's the one who's
Illuminati man.
He's
kind of signs.
Homophobe, misogynist. I mean, go take your pick. He's Alex Jones.
He's a bad person.
He's Alex Jones. A lot of people say he's.
I think I used to.
He's been used into a meme a lot.
I think I used to listen to him when I lived in a caravan.
Probably, and you probably
in like
he was really woke.
like
You thought
2010
he was, like,
times, and he would be talking about like people. Oh, what was it called? Like Davos.
Bilderberg Group. Davos.
Yeah, that
I
stuff.
went to Bilderberg Group in Watford to watch it, and he was there standing on top of a hill. David Icke came along, I think. You know, they were all there. Even Nigel's people were there. That was interesting for me. Like UKIP. I'm like, I'm just here looking at these conspiracy guys, and UKIP are meant to be doing something else. But actually, it all makes sense 10 years down the line.
Have you seen the new UKIP logo?
Yeah. Iron Cross with a spear. I mean, they could argue it's Knights Templar, couldn't they? Which is weird enough in itself. But
I don't like that man at all.
what
The fish man. always sounds like he's holding a wet fish.
Everything you
doesn't
guys are saying to me now just makes me even more
Where's Fish Man?
scared.
he? The one with the purple tie, I don't know, Nick something or another. He just
Nick
needs.
Griffin? Is he
No,
back?
Nick. I
I
don't
know,
know, some
BBC
little
was
Nick
doing it.
Tenconi or something. He came to Maidstone, tried to do a protest. Oh, he's a muppet. I did a video of him and I pretended to be David Attenborough. Like, here's a fascist come to
In their natural
Maidstone
habitat.
with his ego and his entitled attitude, not been raised properly, been told that he's wonderful, amazing. Oh, darling. That's why he's grown up with such an ego.
Jesus Christ.
At some level, I feel sorry for people like that.
No, because they've
They've never had any
feel
accountability.
Sorry for you. They
Yeah,
would never
yeah.
feel sorry
No,
for you.
I know they've never feel. I've made my peace with that a long time ago.
Okay, you know.
Like, God, like,
But
do
just
you know what I
don't-
mean?
I
I've made
just-
my peace with what this country is. But I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, how can that person exist? Like, what's wrong with their
Yeah,
brain?
that's why I call it athlete's foot of the brain, because they're literally choosing to stay in that state of being. Like,
The world is telling them.
yeah,
This is
Wrong.
it's not what you're saying it is, man.
and they believe manipulated, like, fake science. Like, that's another thing that I say to them quite often, is because scientifically stem cell research has shown how valuable menstrual blood is. So one of my favorite comebacks to them when they're annoying me is that every single racist collectively, their entire existence as a collective brings less value to humanity than 1 cup of my menstrual blood. But scientifically, that is correct, actually.
Oh, that's going to really piss them off, though, you know that?
Yeah, I don't care. And you're a woman, they say, you know, and yeah, I'm a woman and I bleed every month because I'm a woman. And
I do reckon there's an element to men that are really angry about the fact that women can bring life.
yeah,
into
there
the
is.
world.
There's womb envy.
Yeah.
That is literally
Yeah,
it. There's womb envy.
Yeah.
They can't.
Oh, poor Johnny's like, sorry, this is new.
No, there is. That's why they're trying to make these robots, isn't it? And you know, there's a forum where there was 750,000 men on some far right incel forum that was talking about why they needed to genocide women, and that these Chinese robots needed to be hurried up to be made that will take their sperm and grow a baby for them. And they've got this incel platform where they're talking about why women need to be genocided globally because we are the problem and the bane of their existence, and they're going to have these robots that they're going to impregnate.
Do you know what I mean? And so like when you put it down into the details and levels of it, it's like ridiculous. But Nikki, on that note, we've run out of time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to bring you back.
I know, no, literally, you don't get a choice. You have to come back.
Yeah,
Back
I'll
at some
come
point.
back. I'm in London on the 3rd Thursday of every month, so I'm
Where
happy
can we
to come
find the
back.
show and where can we find your website?
So you can find my show is, you can listen to all my previous episodes of the Uncomfortable Conversations show. They're up on Mixcloud.
Good.
My website is antiracistmums.co.uk. On Insta, I'm at anti_racist mums with an S, because I'm growing a movement of mums that are going to be accountable for raising inclusive anti-racist children. And on TikTok, I'm anti_racist mum, because there's one of me and I'm trying to get you all over to Insta to the movement. And yeah, like I've got stuff coming up. I've got a course that I'm going to do with the Kingship Studios, which is run by the rapper Logic from the People's Army. We're going to do a course on analysing manifestos and understanding how decisions are made in this country in the lead up to the local election. So that's in my link tree, in my link in bio thing on Instagram. And I'm starting an accountability membership for white presenting people, basically, to stay accountable and have every month come together
I'll
and
sign up for that one.
hold each other accountable for challenging our internal bias, but keeping each other on track with disrupting the narrative. And that is, again, you can get to the details of that in my link in bio on my Insta page.
If I had the world inside a vial and put the government on trial, some of them are wrong and in the highest of the files. Travel should be free, social hospitals are full. We're buying weapons when some people destitute. Free will, free rent, free movement.